What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Bear Podcast. And today we got a big mock draft episode where we want to predict what the Chicago Bears are going to do and talk a little bit about the 2024 NFL Draft. And today is the day for the second big mock draft of this 2024 NFL offseason. We did one actually before free agency, so before we even knew how the roster was slightly going to look like in 2024 for the Chicago Bears. So now after actually all the stuff, combine happened, free agency happened, the Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, all the all-star games, you got a way better look at the Chicago Bears roster and their needs headed into the NFL Draft in 2024. And yeah, in today's mock draft episode, this is going to be a series. We're going to do more mock drafts than just one, or now the second one in this year's offseason. We're going to work a couple of, let's just say, scenarios that potentially could happen for the Chicago Bears moving forward. But yeah, super excited to be back on the channel. Had a couple of tough weeks here where I couldn't do really any videos, so I'm back on the grind. I'm excited for the Chicago Bears draft, and it's going to be a really exciting time for all Bears fans, I think, out there. But yeah, with that being said, let's not waste any more time and get into today's mock draft scenario, which obviously starts off with the first overall pick. And with that first overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears, by no surprise, select Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. And after the Justin Fields trade, this should obviously not be too big of a surprise to Bears fans. Caleb Williams seems to be the new quarterback one for the Chicago Bears. And for people that say, oh, it could be Jaden Daniels, could be Drake May, I mean, for me personally, there's no way around Caleb Williams. He's such a good prospect that has so much upside. There's no way you're passing up on him in the 2024 NFL Draft if you actually have the first overall pick. And the discussion now is just settled. It's probably going to be Caleb Williams, very much probably. And I'm really excited. He's going to be the new quarterback one. I mean, I made an in-depth analysis on what I saw on tape for him, so I'm not getting too much into it again. But for me overall, I mean, he has all the arm talent in the world, is such a smart player that does have already that pre-snap recognition against coverage and leverage. Great footwork, very smooth when he is under control. Obviously, he had to leave the pocket a lot in or at USC because of the bad offensive line play. But I mean, overall, he did his best at USC, helped this program so much over the last couple of years, and overall just has been a phenomenal player that has the ability to make plays that only a certain amount of people can make in the entire world. And that's a risk I'm gladly taking, and he's going to have a great situation to start off in. And with that being said, let's actually move on to the next couple of picks because we're going to get some help for Caleb Williams as well. But before we want to move on to the number 9 overall pick, we actually got a trade alert. The New Orleans Saints are calling the Chicago Bears. Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, all gone. Joe Alt is also gone at this spot. So the Chicago Bears were fine with trading down a couple of spots and getting more picks in the 2024 NFL Draft. So this mock draft is going to be a trade down scenario with Neighbors, Odunze, as I said, already gone. Joe Alt also gone. So the Chicago Bears get pick number 14 in exchange for pick number 9, and also get additionally from the Saints pick number 45 in round number 2 and pick 150 in round number 5. So they add on 2 picks and have a pick swap in the first round. Not trading back too much here for the Chicago Bears to still be in a situation for some premier players. And with that 14th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears will select Jared Verse, edge out of FSU. And I mean, I talked about Jared Verse, Latu, and Dallas Turner a couple of times now on the channel, but for me, it was actually a hard decision, not necessarily with the edge position, but also with the offensive tackle position. I mean, Olu Fashanu could be there at 14, Troy Fautanu could be there too, and then Jared Verse, Latu. So I think the big Chicago Bears are in a good situation where you cannot go wrong in most places, but I went with Jared Verse here, just getting another athletic, uber athletic edge rusher next to Montez Sweat, who's going to thrive in that defensive system of Matt Eberflus. I mean, edge is a big need for the Chicago Bears. That's no surprise here. And even though offensive tackle was definitely also on the board for me in this mock draft scenario, I was actually going with an edge, and Jared Verse was the pick here. I mean, for Jared Verse, super explosive player. He can really move and get that speed to power rush move going. He has probably the most powerful edge in his entire draft class, has a nasty bull rush move, and even though he's not a finished product yet, which is great because he has so much upside. You need to develop him though. So for me, Jared Verse is a really good option here at the number 14th overall pick after trading down. You can be very happy with that. So The Bears do a great job here of adding to their two biggest needs, which at this point in time are quarterback and edge position. So that's pretty big. As we now want to move on to round number 2 with the 45th pick in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Xavier Legette, wide receiver out of South Carolina. And I know the Chicago Bears do have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, which is a very, very good wide receiver duo to have. But first and foremost, the Chicago Bears do lack depth at the position. And also at the same time, I mean, Keenan Allen is not going to be here forever. He's basically in a one-year deal right now. Maybe he signs another 1 or 2 year deal with the Bears, but he's not going to be here forever. So adding another very young, explosive, and insane athlete would actually not be the worst option in my opinion. Now, the question is Xavier Legette actually going to be available at that spot 45? I don't know, but we've seen players fall all the time in the draft, and at the same time, it's really about picks and flavors here in the wide receiver class of 2024, and there's so many good wideouts that Xavier Legette could definitely fall in the draft, even though he could also at the same time go in the first round. So it's very much an open surprise here, and I don't know what's really going to happen, but I mean, come on. When I was watching Xavier Legette's tape, it was just phenomenal. SEC receiver was just insanely good as a jump ball receiver, and I mean, he's just an absolute physical specimen. I mean, big, strong, fast, probably one of the best hands in the entire draft class. His ball tracking skills are elite. Like, he has great eyes, he has great timing of the jump, and then he hauls those balls in with his eyes. It's really phenomenal. He catches a lot of 50-50 balls, and then he's also a very underrated route runner in my opinion. I think that's a lot of people's issue with him, his route running, but for me, when you really take a closer look at it, he has good hip sync, he snaps down so quickly. I mean, that's really a lot about weight transfer, and he does have a little bit more weight. He plays at a great weight and still maintains that speed, and the same goes for his route running. He can really sink his hips, transfer that weight, and then pushes out of his plant foot really, really well. So that was really, really impressive in my opinion. And he also knows how to sell certain routes to set up other routes. He's very agile for his size as a route runner and also as a yak threat too. Talking about that, I mean, he will fight for extra yards and can be elusive, and then he also has the speed to run away and still has those physical monster skills of just blocking you or dominating you and just being stronger than you. I mean, he's a perfect third wideout for the Chicago Bears. That would be a dream situation for Caleb Williams to be in. 3 really good wide receivers to throw to. There's not a lot worse you could do heading into your first NFL season, and I mean, he's just a versatile player too, just like DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. He can play inside, he can play outside. South Carolina moved him a lot in the slot outside, and that's just a great fit next to Keenan and DJ Moore, and is going to be a very, very good 3-headed monster at wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. So Xavier Legette would be an absolute dream pickup. As we now want to move on to route number 3, pick number 75, and this is more of a controversial pick right now. The Chicago Bears are probably, maybe, hopefully going to select T'Vondre Sweat, defensive lineman out of Texas. Now, what just happened recently is that some rumors came out with some issues with the police and whatever it was. I don't know the details, honestly, but I mean, T'Vondre Sweat could definitely fall to 75 in that scenario because he has those problems right now, off the field issues. And do I want a guy like this on the team? No, but I don't know what actually happened. So for me, right now, he's still a very intriguing player, and if we just keep that aside until we know more about this issue, I mean, overall as a player, he is one of the most fun tapes to actually watch in the entire college season of 2023. He's just a straight monster. I mean, looking at his tape against the run, he's just a stout run defender, very patient eyes. He just routinely makes big plays. He absolutely owns the gap and the rep every single time, has violent hands, a great swim move against especially Kansas State, where he was just dominating all game long against the run anyways. Then he anchors really well. He just simply does move, and he makes a lot of tackles. Like, players are not slipping past him. And then due to his size and also his playing level, he has a very low pad level, which is very important. And he's just made for dominating against the run, which is very, very intriguing. And then against the pass rush, I mean, he's obviously a bigger guy. His speed is kind of limited, but if he gets a little bit slimmer, I mean, he has a lot of talent there too, and upside. I mean, strength is obviously no question. He absolutely bullies offensive linemen. He just shoves them around left and right. and it's just too damn strong. And then he has very active hands as well, which I like to see. He's trying at least. I mean, is it always with a plan? No, definitely not, but it's mostly not with a true plan what he does, but he at least tries and is just active and is not too lazy out there as a pass rusher. So if he is treated right in the NFL and just that strength and conditioning program hits him well, he has so much high upside as a pass rusher too. And at 75, for me, that would still be a very valid pick for the Chicago Bears. Will he be there? I don't know. How much does that issue right now off the field actually affect his draft stock? I don't know either. But for me right now, just putting that aside, it's a great player. And at 75, it would definitely help the Chicago Bears out a lot. They need someone in the interior of the defensive line. I know they have Andrew Billings, but I mean, you can never have enough good young players on a roster, and he definitely will fill in and be an immediate impact player on the Chicago Bears defense. As we now actually want to move on to round number 4, and with the 122nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Mo Camara, edge out of Colorado State. And yes, it's another edge rusher to strengthen the rotation of the Chicago Bears. I think you can never have enough defensive or offensive linemen, and after picking Jared Verse with the 14th overall pick, the Chicago Bears get back to it to get Mo Camara, a very, very talented guy out of Colorado State. I absolutely love Mo. I mean, high effort player, always give it its all, and he knows how to get to the quarterback. Even though he may be not the most athletic player or the most explosive athlete or the most intimidating athlete, he knows how to get there. He has a great technique, has a good arsenal of rush moves, and also bend. He has good bend. He's a bendy pass rusher, which is obviously nice to see. And he's maybe not the most exciting athlete, as I said, but he plays with immediate impact in the NFL. He's going to be a key rotational piece for the Chicago Bears early on, and we definitely need that. I know we have DeMarcus Walker. I know we have then maybe Jared Verse and also Montez Sweat, but Chicago Bears definitely lack depth, and just adding a young, talented pass rusher in round number 4 with Mo Camara, who's probably going to have some upside as well still, is something you cannot go wrong with, and I will be very much excited to see that player in the Chicago Bears rotation, because he's going to be a early on impact player too, Mo Camara, that's going to be a good player for many, many years in the NFL, and there's nothing wrong with picking him here in round number 4 to strengthen the edge rotation. As we now want to move on to round number 5 and finishing off today's mock draft with the 150th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Tanner Bortolini, interior offensive lineman out of Wisconsin. And with Tanner Bortolini, Ryan Poles finally attacks the offensive line as well, giving more versatility to the offensive line positions and adding a high upside player in Tanner Bortolini. He was an absolute athletic freak. We're talking about a 6'4", 303-pound offensive lineman that runs a 4.94 40-yard dash, a 1.69 10-yard split, and was just an absolute freak at the entire combine weekend, but also on tape, you see him really moving well into the second level. Now, what he also offers is a lot of roster flexibility. I mean, he can play guard and center, which is very important for his early career success. And then I really see a lot of actual potential to be a starter long-term for the Chicago Bears at center. I mean, he needs to work on a couple of things. I mean, he needs to be a little bit more consistent with not leaning forward. That's an issue that he has at times. He does lose his balance a little bit, and he's not the best at purely anchoring against stronger dudes right now, but I mean, overall, he has everything that you need. He's a very aggressive player that plays with a lot of attitude. He's a great athlete, and as I said, he has that positional versatility at this point in time. So even though the Chicago Bears did sign Ryan Bates and Coleman Shelton, I think Tanner Bortolini adds a lot of great depth to the interior of the offensive line, which is very important, and he's also going to be a great option for the Chicago Bears moving forward at the center position. Make him learn for one season behind Coleman Shelton or Ryan Bates, get all the call outs in, make him actually learn the game from a different perspective, and then in 2025 he's going to be ready and be just an absolute ass kicker. So that will be really exciting for me, and I think that's a great way to round off this NFL draft for the Chicago Bears. Now, with that being said, for a conclusion, Chicago Bears starting it off, adding a franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams, made sure they get another elite edge rusher or great potential edge rusher. next to Montez Sweat and Jarrett Verse. Then they get another great weapon with Xavier Legette to round off this wide receiver core for the Chicago Bears in 2024. Beef up the interior defensive line with Tavondre Sweat. Get another edge rusher in Mo Kamara to get a great rotational piece here. And then a long-term potential center prospect in Tanner Bordellini with a lot of athletic upside. I think that's a great draft for the Chicago Bears. Very much trench heavy, but I mean, games are won in the trenches, so I'm not mad about this result of this mock draft at all. Also, Bears traded with the New Orleans Saints in this scenario. As I said early on in the video, Odunze, Neighbors, Joe Alt not there. Those are the players I'm definitely sticking with if they're available at 9. Was not the case in today's mock video. So the Chicago Bears found a good trade partner with the New Orleans Saints, and I think overall you could be very happy as a Chicago Bears fan with that. But yeah, with that being said, that's the end of the episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely let me know in the comments down below what you think of my mock draft 2.0 and what would you change. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram and Twitter if you want to as well. And as always, guys, bear down.